Welcome to Mermaid Tales. I am Mermaid Cassandra, founder of Be a Mermaid, and I have one of my favorite mermaid freediving instructor extraordinaire, scuba buddies possible on the
Oh,
podcast today. Keke is not only just the most beautiful, graceful mermaid, and she's swimming through all these different beautiful oceans, but she is an extremely skilled instructor for freediving as well as mermaid. Her and her partner Farrell have the most amazing, uh, a business down in West Palm Beach, helping people live out those dreams. And I'm very fortunate that she was my instructor for my first retreat and my instructor for the next retreat.
oh, you're so sweet. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So, I know you have been traveling like a crazy person, just like me a little
Yes,
bit.
just
So,
like you.
what's been going on?
Let's see. Well, now I'm taking a break for some travel because we're coming into dive season in Florida, so conditions have just been unreal here this past week. I don't know if you saw any of my stories, but finally into summertime, water is warm, 81 degrees, flat, Lake Atlantic. It's been so nice. So I'll be spending some time here in Florida, but yes, definitely did some travel in the off season because yeah, why not? Conditions here are not that great. It's people make fun of me saying it's cold in Florida, but it does get cold, so I travel south.
Yeah. So,
But right now, it's been amazing. Like we're getting ready for a nice dive season here in Palm Beach.
awesome. So, I know again, you have been on the road, on the move, wheeling and dealing all over the world with some amazing conditions. So, where has been your favorite that you've dove this year so far?
I know this year has definitely been the most travel I've done, so that was a huge goal of mine just to travel and I made it happen and it was really cool. But we went to, I don't know what was my favorite place. We've been to so many cool places this past year. Like Thailand with you was amazing with Be a Mermaid. That was such a cool experience. I've always wanted to go to Thailand. So diving there was incredible. I'd love to go again. And also the food. I'm such a foodie. So the food there was amazing, Thai food. Went to South Africa. That was probably a highlight as well because it's just such a unique place and it was never on my list of places to go, but we had a friend that was there and he invited us to come visit, and I said, why not? And I'm so happy we did. It was just such a unique place. First time diving in the kelp forests, um, all kinds of crazy wildlife, seals, penguins, baboons walking around, ostriches. Like, it was crazy.
That is
But
wild. Like, so for the kelp forest, were you having maybe in like a 5 millimeter? Because you couldn't have been in
yep,
a dry suit, right?
yep, it was a 5 mil.
Oh,
5 mil wetsuit. I probably could have, like, I adapted, but Farrell, he does not like the cold, so he was struggling a little bit. It was frigid. It was like 55 degrees. So if I had a 7, this Florida girl would have been happy, but I made it work in a 5 mil, and
good for
it was,
you.
it was just, I could only last like, well, I last like 2 hours in the water. So it was like 2 hours max I could do, but I didn't bring my mermaid tail. I wish I did. But we did some free diving there and it was just so cool.
So, for those of you who don't know, Kiki is also an award-winning free diver. And
Oh,
just oh my gosh, it is so impressive. Like you get in the zone in that level of mental discipline. Like I wish I possess, and you just go down, and she can go deep. What is your record right now?
my deepest record is 52 meters, so 179 feet.
Oh my gosh, that's insane!
That's my deepest. If you ask me to do that tomorrow, I could not do it tomorrow. It'd take me some training, but
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, you just
yes.
it blows me away.
Hopefully I'll grow guild soon.
Yeah,
Hopefully I'll grow some gills.
are you doing any other competitions coming up?
No, no, I'm not. Just right now, like I just want to do more like fun exploring travel. Last year and a few years ago, that was when I wanted to do some competitions just to like train for myself and give me kind of a reason to train and focused,
Yeah.
and have a goal. But now I think my goal this year is just kind of more travel and fun and exploration and fun dives like the kelp and
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at. Maybe in the future I might get back to some competitions because it's just a fun way to like have a goal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, you know, I think competitions are a wonderful thing to be able to like, it's about the journey, not necessarily about the achievement for all the work you put in, but I can also
exactly.
understand like wanting to reprioritize. And because that's a lot of like fortitude, discipline, mental strength that goes into that. And that takes a lot out of someone.
Yeah, and you
So,
kind of know like it's been with our business, it's been like very busy, which we're so grateful for, but I just don't have the mental capacity and space to put that into a competition at this moment. So that's kind of where I am right now, just focusing on myself and the business, and yeah, maybe we'll tune back into that.
so for anybody listening, and this is as of May 23rd, 2025, what exciting things is Live Free Diving doing this summer?
I'm really excited for diving season. Well, we have for freediving, we have our South Florida Freedive Fest coming up, which is really exciting. It's just for certified freedivers, open to all levels. And it's just a way to come out, connect with other divers, come experience the beautiful conditions that we have here. So we'll do some like diving, workshops, pool workshops, meet other people. We have people flying in from all over. We have someone coming from Costa Rica, from Texas, and just all over. So it's really cool for that. So we're doing that. And then in August, I'm going to be hosting a whale shark and yoga trip in August. So
Oh,
that's third week of August. I know I haven't really announced it too much. So this is my third year there. So it's always just such an epic time. We'll go to Playa del Carmen. So this will be our home base, and yeah, go swim with some whale sharks. So this one's open to all levels. Like you don't have to be free dive certified to join, but just, be comfortable in the water. And so
yeah.
I'm really excited for that.
Oh my
And
God.
then that's pretty much it for summertime travel.
Awesome. And I know we're finalizing right now the last bit on the Be a Mermaid retreat, and all. It's with that lovely surprise about Costa Rica and the weather in late October. I'm very grateful your folks were helping with that data, so I'm just finalizing some details there. But very excited that you'll be joining us then.
Yeah.
For,
What about,
huh?
yes, I can't wait. I can say, what about you for your upcoming travel?
So I'm Costa Rica currently.
Okay.
I just finished my President's Club trip. Basically, for everybody who doesn't know, on my non-mermaid life, I am in sales, and so if you are a top seller, they reward you with a trip. And so I've been in Costa Rica since last.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm about to go travel off on my own. I'm in Guanacaste right now, and then I'm going down to Quipos this evening. So, and then I'm gonna do some diving on tomorrow, I think.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I'm pretty
Fun.
stoked about that. And then I fly back on Tuesday, and then I'm very excited to not be leaving the country for 4 months because
Yeah, okay, yes. It's nice and refreshing. It's like you have a home base, and then it's like, okay, I need to get some travel, and then you get your travel, and then it's like, all right, I'm excited to stay put for a little bit.
exactly. And Kiki, this is the first time I've done two international flights within a week of each other. Not something I recommend. And specifically, it wasn't even just like within a week of each other. I flew back from Bali on not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, and I got in at like 10:30 at night, and then Monday and Tuesday I was in an in-person quarterly business review back in my job, and then I left Wednesday for business travel through the rest of the week, and then I didn't even come home to fly out. I flew out of my parents, and then then I'll come back up there, grab
Busy
the cat.
lady.
Yeah, so I'm very excited to get home. Well, this is beautiful and amazing.
Yes.
I don't recommend doing
Back to
two
back.
international trips within a
Oh,
week if you can
why?
avoid it. But
Looks so cool.
yeah,
Well, speaking of Costa, one last
yeah,
thing, I was like, when I went last year,
yeah,
um, for a dive trip, and it was like my first time really diving there. I haven't been to Costa Rica since I was like 8,
yeah.
and there were tons of dolphins. The one dive spot we went to, like, we found just a pod of dolphins. There's like hundreds of dolphins, jumped in with them, swam, and then also at one point there was some pilot whales too. That was really cool. I had no idea there's so much life in Costa Rica.
I didn't either.
I'm
I mean,
excited for you.
It's been amazing. I literally initially I was going to film outside, but then I realized how hot it was, and I wanted to actually enjoy the conversation and not
Yeah.
jump in a pool. But um, we had this like crazy billed beard with like a yellow, beautiful bill, just like walking around the little deck area. We've had crabs in the room, which my friend was a little scared about. I'm like, it's just having come back from Bali, I'm just like, there are always going to be plants, animals, like in the room. Like, even if it's the nicest room possible, like those things just happen. But we saw sloths that were so cute. Yeah.
Oh,
Because we were in La Fortuna up until, yes, was it yesterday? I don't even know. It's been a whirlwind, and I'm very blessed that it's been a whirlwind on both Bali and this. So I know we saw some beautiful. They looked like like a cross between a peacock and a turkey, just walking around, and some beautiful frogs. So yeah, it's been the animal. I'm so excited to see the sea life. Like I'm so ready, and that's
yeah.
going to be my 50th scuba dive. So I'm pretty
Oh, fun. Congrats.
I mean, I know that's so little in comparison to like people who dive all the time, but it's taken
No,
me over
that's
10 years.
yeah, no, that's amazing. That's a lot. I'm honestly like I love that you people keep track of all their dives. I
Yeah,
wish I kept better track of my dives because I don't really know what number I'm at, which is kind of crazy.
that is. I mean, the only reason I know for a fact is I still have my original dive
I
book.
love that. Yes, yes.
The cover is gone now off of it. It is officially melted in, that waterproof paper. And so I have that number tracked to the end
Good.
of it. And then I don't know, I really love the stamps when you scuba
I
dive.
know, yes, yeah, yep. It's from my watch, logs everything, but I do miss the I love keep up the logbook. You get the
Yeah,
stamp,
exactly. There's
sticker.
cute small ones now too.
They have what?
They have cute small ones.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, because
Perfect.
you remember the original Patty ones. They were like yay big and they were, just cumbersome to pack in your dive bag always.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, kind of bringing things back, you have been free diving for a long time now, and you've been mermaiding now, I think like 6, 7 years
Yeah,
approximately.
yeah, I think so. I think I put my like when I really got into it, probably 2019 or 2020.
Okay.
I
So
was
talk
trying
to
to
us about that journey of like when you started free diving and then when you got into mermaiding.
Yeah, so freediving, how I started freediving. So I worked at a dive shop. So I got scuba certified at 16, and then I got a job at the dive shop where I got certified at 18. I was just hooked with the underwater world, wanted to continue my education, nerd out. So got my advanced, my rescue, eventually became a dive master. And then I became an instructor at age 20. So I wasn't really thinking about becoming an instructor. I wanted to be a dive master because I'm like, wait, I can get paid to dive. This is amazing. But becoming an instructor was never really on my radar. But
Okay.
my coworkers were just like, I think you would be a great instructor. You're really patient. There's also not a lot of female instructors. So I think that would be really great for you and everybody. So I was like, okay, why not? So I became an instructor. And then that was probably, well, I became an instructor, it's crazy, 13 years ago. Yeah, so that can't math right now.
Uh,
2025.
no, you're totally good. I can't math.
Okay. So like yeah, 2012, 2013, something like that. And then it was probably back in 2015 that one of my coworkers was offering a freediving course. So this is before, social media was really big. I didn't really know about freediving. I've been born and raised in Florida, grew up on the water, like always snorkeled, but didn't know what freediving was. So how they have it advertised, it was like dive 66 feet, hold your breath for 3 minutes, and that was super intimidating for me.
Yeah.
But I was like, let me just try it and get an extra space. Let me just see what it's about. And went in with an open mind, and I was just really surprised of what I was able to do. And the two I like the simplicity of it compared to scuba. Like you
Yeah.
just have your mask, snorkel, fins. That was it.
Yeah.
And also like the whole mindfulness, breathing techniques. I enjoy yoga, so those two went hand in hand together. So that's how my freediving journey started. And then actually, I was thinking about it. Like my mermaiding journey technically started even before that. So maybe. 10 years ago or even before, there was this lady at the dive shop I worked at,
Yeah.
and she would run these kids summer camps. And she was like, "Hey, would you be a mermaid for these kids?" And she like made me this tail. Like now looking at it, definitely not safe. Like, she
Kinky.
glued together these two fins and put some fabric, glued it together, and made me a tail. And it was so fun. And she's like, "Hey, this is becoming really big in California. There's people who do this in California, but like I didn't really put two and two together, and I, I don't know." So that kind of like I would help out with the kids camps. Like I did that one summer and then that was it. And then life happened and I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then yeah, got into freediving and then I guess picked back up where the free mermaiding journey happened. That was probably like 2019. Um so this was, let's see. I think one of our clients, she was a mermaid and wanted to take a freediving course with us, and she let me try on her tail. She's like, "Oh, I'm a mermaid of his tail," and then she let me try on like one of her mertailor tails. So it was actually a legit tail compared to like this gluing together two old bifins and like fabric. So I tried that on, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so much fun!" And like my inner child came out, and I was like, "Ah." So
I've
that's a
never heard this story from you.
yeah, so that was actually
Oh,
Snowdrop Liz. She was the one who helped me put on that tail. And
yeah.
then how I really got into it even more. So Brandy, we partnered together to do these mermaid freedive retreats because I was freedive and she was mermaid. And we worked really well together. So we're like, hey, what can we do to, I don't know, continue to work together?
Yeah.
This is before the Patty Mermaid program as well. So we're like, okay, so I will teach the mermaids how to be safer, hold their breath, everything. So we came together on that. And then because I was around all the retreats and all the mermaids, I had more time to put on a tail and swim and connect with others. Because in being in South Florida, like I don't know, there wasn't a lot of mermaids.
Which is crazy to think that
Yeah.
was only like 6 years ago that there was
Right,
one. Yeah.
right. Yeah, there was like no one. It was just Brandy and I mean, I guess I wasn't really in the mermaid world. I was more freediving and scuba. Um, so
But now
yeah.
I mean, you were essentially one of the first Patty mermaid instructors out.
Uh-huh. Yep, yep. So yeah, me and Brandy were but it was because we were doing these retreats and basically Eric Albinson, he's amazing. He's one of the top Patty guys. He helps with the mermaid program, freedom program, all of that. He knew we were doing this and was like, "Hey, this was probably 2022 maybe." He's like, "Hey, I know you guys have been doing some of these retreats. Patty's coming out with a mermaid program. Would you look it over and check out the curriculum and everything and make sure it's all good?" So we're like, "Okay, cool." So we were like the first to know about it
Yeah.
and reviewed the program. And then yeah, we became one of the first mermaid instructors and one of the first mermaid instructor trainers. That means I can train mermaids to become instructors.
Which is so cool. And like, so that's how I met you. And I went to Brandy's wonderful retreat in South Florida on the beautiful springs. And that was my first time in the springs, even though I had lived in Florida for 3 years, like back in 2011. And I was so blown away. Like, as a kid, I always thought like the only way you could like play around in Mermaid Tales was like be in a movie. And that's just like way before social media. And so like got the tail, but then to like actually properly learn because like I played around with it on vacations, but like I didn't have a pool. It wasn't something where like I could, really work on that due diligence. And like, yes, in theory, I could have like found a pool, like a community one. But honestly, there's like a barrier of entry on certain things right now. And so I was just like, whatever. And I was following Brandy and I was like, oh my God, really? Like, I remember she put the first one on, it was like October of 2020. And
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Because we were supposed to do it, we had plans, okay, to do it the beginning of 2020, but then COVID happened.
yeah. And I
So we had to push it to October when things started to settle down. That was our first one, October.
Yeah, and it looked so cool. And I was like, and I honestly, I even thought about going to that one. And it's just so funny, like thinking about this journey through it, as I'm sure with you, of like the times where it's popped up and like to create those seedlings, and then when you act and it, makes those pivots. But I saw it and I was like, okay, this is something I have to do because having been through scuba, having swam my whole life, and very fortunately gotten to take like swim lessons and whatnot. Um, I knew that it was something where you wanted to do it correctly because your legs are bound and some people aren't used to the marathon and like my gosh, like my breath hold as a kid was amazing, but now as an adult and like knowing you want to ultimately bring yourself in the best possible way to have the best possible experience. So I was like, I need to do this certification, having already done a couple other PADI ones, and I know I felt a lot more comfortable knowing that it was something where it was a certified curriculum that was blessed and such, and people were going through it. And so when I met you, I think it was June of 2021.
Oh my gosh, wow, that's
I
crazy.
know each other for 4 years.
Wow, time flies. That's crazy.
It does in the best way possible. It feels like just yesterday, and
Yeah.
I was so you are such a I know I've told you this like a million times, but I'm going to tell you it again. But like your teaching methodology, you really make sure that the people who are in your programs, whether it's freediving, whether it's mermaid, or whether it's I also a year later did a scuba refresher course with you. You make sure that the person like really understands the material with their specific learning styles, and I so appreciate that as somebody who in traditional school environments really struggled at different points with my learning disabilities. And I just love that you so intuitively like understand. And maybe it's not intuitive, maybe it's like through these years of practice that you've just gotten so amazing at it. But I do think it's like one of those beautiful, unique sparks of like you see people and kind of have an innate understanding of what they need. And then you translate that into your how you approach them on the learning to make sure it gets really understood, internalized, and then it also can be demonstrated. And obviously, that's all important aspects as an instructor to go into the program. But I was just so blown away by you as an instructor.
Thank
Like,
you so much. That's how too. Diving was like my thing because I struggled in school as well. Like, not for me, but I nerded out on all the diving. I just wanted to learn more and more and more. And I think I actually understood it really well. So, because I understand it, you're able to deliver that information in the most simple way possible, but for people to understand. Like, I love working with all kinds of people. And I think of it as like a puzzle. Like, each person is totally different, but how can I deliver this information so this person understands? And this person is different than this person. So, like, you have to explain it and show in different ways. And I don't know, I really, really enjoy it. So, again, I didn't think I was going to become an instructor. Like, it just kind of happened. But my mom was actually a teacher. So, she was a behavioral analyst and a teacher. So, maybe I got some of that teaching skills from her.
definitely, definitely. But I also think that's just genuinely who you are. You're such a caring individual, and you're so not just caring. You're kind, you're empathetic, and you really just want everyone to have a really awesome experience. You just have
Yeah.
such a
Thank
passion for the
you.
diving, and it comes through. And it's
Oh,
just
thank you so
you're
much. That means a lot.
welcome.
Water's been amazing. I mean, it's such a healing spot, but diving in general has definitely changed my life for all the better, mentally, physically, emotionally, all the thing. It's very healing. So I just want to show that to people as much as possible. And whether it's through mermaiding or freediving or snorkeling, scuba diving, like I just love it all.
Yeah. I just I think it's so funny, like the paths we think we're going to take in our lives and what ends up kind of coming about as you open yourself up to really leaning into what makes you as a person, especially your innate gifts, and how that can be transposed, whether it is something you're actually passionate about or a field you never thought you would be in. Like I mean, I never planned on being in software sales. I also never planned on opening a mermaid company, but it's just so funny how like different lessons and different abilities come out in different ways. And if you're
Mhm.
open to living a life where it maybe doesn't follow like everybody's traditional path, like it is so beautiful in the richness and really being able to lean into the things that make you you. And those can be translated into a way where yes, work is always going to be work. Like nobody's ever going to say like, oh my God, I love my job 150% of the time. And maybe it's not love my job. It's, I have no stress days. There are
Right.
never days where I have anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. But I think when you can unlock that code, and I think for some people, it takes longer than others. And I think that's totally okay because we're all meant to be on the journey we're on. And it's about the life lessons we pick up as we're going through. But I think it's just so beautiful that like these pieces like fell at specific times for you and you said yes. And that's the important thing is you said yes.
I know. I think about that. If I didn't say yes, or if I turned down certain opportunities, and I was thinking about this the other day too, is um, like, yes, we need to make money to support our habits, but money's not the motivation. And if I would have be driven for to make money as my motivation, I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't have said yes to opportunities because I would have made money. So, for instance, we had somebody reach out to us and they want to work with us, and I'm like, that's amazing. But then she's like, okay, how much are you going to pay me? And like that was the first kind of thing, and I just gave like an ick feeling because
Yeah.
I'm like, I can see your motivation, and I'm like, we don't become an instructor. You don't become a dive instructor to make money. Like, if you want to make money, you should become a lawyer, a doctor,
Yeah.
something else. Like, you don't make money like yes we do to pay the bills, but like that's not the motivation. And if I would have like all the people I've worked with and mentors and jobs and opportunities I got, my question was never how much money you're going to pay me. It's like, wow, to me my motivation was like the experience, the connections I'm going to learn, the growth, and to me that's invaluable. And I think because I took so many times I took opportunities and like I didn't get paid anything, but to me like the connections and everything I got, that was worth way more.
Totally.
So, and I'm like, if I would have said no, I was just thinking about that. If I would have said no to some of these opportunities, I wouldn't have been on certain trips.
Yeah.
Like, I remember my very first retreat, like, actually, it brought me to Roatan. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't get paid for that trip, but I was invited to come and teach yoga and teach some freediving. And at the time, it was just after COVID, so I didn't have a lot going on. But I was like, yes, like I want to come and learn and grow and connect. And that opportunity right there opened up so many doors. And now it's a spot that I go annually. I've made so many connections. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna go there. So that's just one example, but
No,
I went off on a tangent there, but
no, I love it. And that's the beautiful thing is like everything isn't linear. If everything was linear, then I'm not saying people don't end up on linear paths, but I think if you're not open to the possibility that things might go in different directions, then, you know, life is going to, some people want a simple life, and I think that's totally okay. But I love, for me, and what feeds my soul is the opportunity to experience this world. And the only way we can experience this world is by saying yes. Some things are going to make you a little uncomfortable, and some things are going to challenge your perceptions. Like, obviously, you know, Ayla and Heidi, and we've traveled together now a ton. Like, um,
four.
yeah, we just celebrated our third trip in 1 year.
Whoa, that's amazing.
And I love these girls, and they really challenge me. I've been very safe in a lot of my travel historically, just because solo women travel, etc. And they really, first off, encourage me to go with the flow, which is not normally like I've been on a journey to learn to go with the flow, but also just kind of embrace that things are going to be that can be chaosy, but you just kind of go with it, and like it's totally fine. Like Heidi booked this. It was really fun. So we were in Ahmed, and Ahmed in Bali is like, have you heard about the yoga places?
I've heard, I've heard it's a freediving mecca.
Yeah, so you 1,000. We'll figure out a way to get you Bali. Don't
Okay, I
worry,
need
I'm
to
working
get
on
there.
it in a couple of years. But it also is a yoga mecca. I'm not sure. So
Okay.
we were at this really cool place called Blue Ocean, where they had literally training sites for freedivers on site for those who were just learning, like a big deep pool. Everything was like reclaimed cargo containers and some old like Balinese style houses. And sometimes in Bali, things go a little bit different than you would think. Like the water in our shower, like initially we thought like it was three women sharing a room, like, and we all have long hair. Inevitably, the water is going to run out. But there were times where even like the first person in the shower, it was like dribble, 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 dribble. and you just kind of embraced it. You kind of went, this is not forever. I do love my American showers. I'm not gonna lie, where I have full water pressure to deal with this massive hair. But we just kind of laughed about it. Of like, it's part of the experience. It's something where we're gonna chuckle about it going forward.
Mhm.
We figured out ways to kind of adjust as we went through, and we still had a lovely time. But it was a beautiful place, literally halfway on top of a mountain. I'll have to show you a picture of the yoga chalet, but
Um,
it looked out off of the mountain and you saw like the volcanoes in the background and whatnot. And it
Amazing.
just had this fun vibe to it. And like, that's actually one of my favorite parts of the trip because later on, we did some mermaiding in this really cool bay that's got a bunch of sunken treasures in it. But I ended up staying a little bit back because, I got to kind of be mindful of my stuff because of all the lovely health situations. And I also still haven't gotten my foot fixed from the first fall. I'm gonna have to go do PRP on it, but that's a different story for another day. So I was trying not to like overdo it because this was like day one, and I ended up chatting with this expat who originally was living in Seattle, so like she knew all the places Heidi knew, and she and I just sat talking and like got in this really deep and beautiful conversation for like 3 hours.
Oh,
Yeah, and we were just it was the dive shop was so cool because it had this like little cafe area and like they had all these you took off your shoes and it was all like the bamboo mats on the ground with like cushions and like low tables looking out to the beach. And it was
I
just
know what you're talking about. I feel like I've seen this yoga studio and coffee shop. And do
yeah.
freedivers just go right off?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
They were doing a
This
ton
is
of
kind of
training
on
and
my
like
list of things to go to. Like I've heard amazing things about Bali.
it was such a
I'm
cool
so
job. So I
excited.
have a person for you to work with if you want to go because
Amazing.
she literally goes there every 3 or 4 months. Her name's Kumo. And she filmed some amazing shots for us because we did some mermaiding stuff. So some of the more recent content on the page of like us pulling trash out of it was very sad because we tried to do like our little part on cleaning up, but there was so much. And it wasn't even just like trash you would think about. Some of it was like clothing.
Yeah.
And but so she filmed some like really great things and she was really helpful in helping us be mindful of our breathing techniques and kind of like all the breathe ups and whatnot and being very conscious of the energy in the space and what she was such a love. But I think,
Amazing.
it's one of those things if you learn to open yourself up, and I think I've been a very closed person for a long time and I'm not sure if it was like a fearful of the world thing. I don't know where it came from, but even though I know that would surprise a lot of people who like work with me, it's something where I think it's really beautiful when you open yourself up to saying yes, to diverting on the paths. And I love meeting people who've just said that yes, and it's really inspiring. So thank you, for being within this community. Thank you for saying yes on your journey. And so that way your yes has sparked a million other yeses, like by the people who've met you. And I think that is so incredibly rare and special that, most people can't understand the impact they've had on others. You can actually quantify it by seeing all the mermaids you've certified and then how they're going forward. And like I think that's a beautiful segue because you certify instructors and that's an even further of the butterfly effect. So what is important to you in the instructor program that you want to put your special magic on?
Yeah, I actually just finished up a mermaid instructor course last week, so that was really, really cool. One girl, she's an EMT. She lives up in Melbourne, and she just wanted to. She fell in love with mermaiding, just like all of us, and
Yeah.
she wanted to, like, her job must be very stressful. So she wants to, have a little side passion project where she
Yeah.
can help spark joy in other people and just a way to escape and not escape, but just like maybe decompress and tap into your inner child. So I was helping her with that. And then her friend came from Arizona, which was really cool. Made me think of Izzy. So I was like
Oh,
connect her with Izzy. But she came from Arizona and wanted to become an instructor because in Arizona you're landlocked and there's not a whole lot going on. But she wants to work at there's a Patty dive shop up there that she really wants to work at and become a mermaid instructor there. So yeah, she fell in love with it. Mermaiding like a year ago or 2 years ago and just like has been the full going down the rabbit hole of all the things. So, um, yeah, so that was really cool to see. And I just kind of, in each class, I just try to figure out like, work with each individual person and be like, what are your goals and how can I help you reach these goals? Um, so I don't know what my special spark and magic is, but I took them to Blue Heron Bridge here, which is definitely I guess, our hidden spark. And it's just so much wildlife here, starfish. The one girl, she was losing her mind. She's like, I've never seen this much fish and corals and starfish. So that was just really special to see. Um, I don't know. I just love sparking that joy in people.
So I'd say, for the people you teach from an instructor basis, like what is the most important thing you want to leave them with as they go off on that journey of being instructors?
Yeah, I just want them to have the confidence, I guess, that once they leave with me, they are confident and ready to put on their own courses, be a great instructor, be able to deliver the information in an easy way to understand. But I think just having that confidence is key.
I'm interested. So I'm sure you've been on mermaid retreats where you, as an instructor, recognize that not everybody may be able to pass either the freediving portion or the mermaiding portion. Like, how do you create an environment and how do you then encourage the instructors you're teaching to create an environment where, what I love about you is you make it seem like it's no pressure and we're just here to have fun. But, obviously you're also trying to give a fine balance to push them a little bit to see, we can
Right.
all accomplish more than we think we can a lot. And I
Yeah.
think that's the beautiful thing about teachers like yourself is that you are a catalyst to help them, move a little bit farther than they would. And I think that, again, brightens different people's lights in a really unique way. So how do you make that balance?
Yes, that's a great question and what we see all the time. Um, And not everybody is in a different space and a different journey. Some people have been in the water their whole life. Some people, they're landlocked and they haven't. So again, it's a journey. You can't just come in and expect to hit all these points and check all the boxes and get that certification. Like if it does, it's not that you didn't pass. It's just you're not ready yet. That's what I like to think of it. And we just need more practice. Like everybody is different, and that's why I love freediving and mermaiding too. Like you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. I mean, such in everything in life. People are in different milestones, right? Like that's why social media is such it can be such a toxic place because people are constantly comparing themselves and it's like, well, they're on chapter 10, you're on chapter 1. It's not fair. So, I do like to create yeah, that balance of I don't like to push people, but you do want to give them that little motivation to step outside of their comfort zone and push a little bit,
Yeah.
but be careful not to be pushing too much where they get frustrated and completely give up the sport because that's not the goal there. And I try to tell people like again, like it's yes, we have to meet certain requirements because it is a certification, but don't put so much pressure on yourself because unfortunately I've seen people put so much pressure on themselves. They don't make it at that point because they're tired, they can't equalize, whatever, and then they get so frustrated and the rest of the trip is ruined because they couldn't equalize. And I'm like, there's so much more to it. Like, and guess what? If you didn't make it this time, we can come back and dive tomorrow or the next week or come dive with me again. Is that so bad? But yeah, it's definitely a balance and I just say tell people it's a journey, right? So take your time, embrace it. Everybody's different.
Do you feel like that's a hard concept for some instructors to kind of grasp? Or do you feel like anybody who's wanting to be an instructor typically has that already understanding?
Great question. Luckily, everybody I have worked with so far, I think they really listen and take my teaching approach. But a lot of people it's people who kind of know me or I've worked with, or I mean, a lot of the mermaids, I've never personally met them, but as long as you're open and willing to learn, um, I think that what's the word? So I'm having a brain fart right now.
Really? I think that's
Um,
perfect. Like if you're open and willing to learn, like whether you're a student, whether you're a teacher, like you can I've recently become kind of aware that like for some people, the commentary of like becoming the best version of you is a stressful thing. I personally believe that, we can all, we're all different. As you said, we're on different chapters of our books and we're all going to evolve as that happens. And that usually means growth in some way. And so I don't think of growing as a dirty word, but I get that some people do, but I think it's one of those things that we're all on that journey at different points. And, maybe it's that time to bring back to what you were saying earlier about like the seeds of like when you were on your mermaid journey. Maybe it's part of that seed process where, you're kind of setting that foundation for the future, as you were saying, and it's not meant to bloom now. And that's totally okay.
Exactly, exactly. Any kind of it's all growth and you're all learning at the end of the day. And I try to tell people to, especially with freediving
Yeah.
or some mermaiding, like less is more. The less you do, the more you're gonna get out of it. And also just don't put so much pressure and stress on yourself. So that's why I try to create an environment that's like stress-free, relaxed, because people are going to learn better. And I know for me, I struggled with like test anxiety. Like I hated tests, but you put so much pressure on yourself. And because of that, you have performance pressure, anxiety. So if you take that off and it's like, okay, there's, relax, there's no pressure,
Yeah.
like go with the flow kind of thing,
Yeah.
then I see students tend to do a lot better. But I do make it in a way like, okay, here's our goals, but like there's no pressure to hit it right now. That's why I do love the retreats
Yeah.
because we have multiple days.
Yeah.
So there it really is less pressure. It's like, all right, if we don't get it today, guess what? We could do it tomorrow or the next day. Like it's totally fine versus some courses, you have 2 days and that's it. So when it's a retreat and you have a couple of days, it makes it less pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, ostensibly, as someone who has been an instructor and also run retreats, like for those that are kind of getting into that field, what advice would you give them?
To want to
Run their own retreats or become instructors at retreats, having done it many times now yourself.
yeah, yeah. I would say I think it's helpful to maybe what will really help me is before I ran and did my own thing. I mean, I worked at a dive shop. I really got to understand the industry. I got to work with others in the industry, and I think that really helped me to learn and grow and become a better instructor, to earn my stripes, and be able to learn and grow without having to do so much trial and error.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked at a dive shop for 10 years. So I mean, that really, really helped me. So I guess some advice I would have is just continue your education. So whether that instructor goes on retreats themselves, whether they want to work with a dive shop, whether they want to work with another instructor, I'm all about collaboration over competition. So I think collaboration is really good. And I mean, it's a lot to put on these retreats, it's a lot of coordination on the back end. And also during the retreat, you want to make sure you're your best version of yourself. So I think just constantly continuing education. Your learning doesn't just stop there. Like, what can you do to help grow yourself as well? So that way you're filling up your cup and you can be the best version of yourself for your guests and your customers and your students.
I think that's such an important thing because I think often, especially if you're an instructor and it becomes your job, or if you're running retreats, like that understanding that you can plan everything, and this was something I discovered on both the retreat in Thailand as well as when I was an event planner, is that you can plan everything perfectly, but then there's going to be all these other things that come
There's
about.
plan that nothing ever goes according to plan.
Exactly. And I think one of the beautiful things, especially being in this community where you're having to work on those breathing techniques and that mindfulness, is how you then react to the stress. Because if you allow it to just overwhelm you, and I know that thing is easier said than done, but if you let it overwhelm you, then that is going to come out to your guests. That's going to come out to the people you're teaching. And when we're trying to encourage, students and participants, to have the best time possible, not put that pressure, as you were saying, to just know that it's part of the journey. Like it's something we also have to internalize, that things are going to kind of come at us, and we need to take care of ourselves throughout that process. And we have to make sure our cup is full. That way we can um, accurately not talk, let me phrase. Um, we can really help cultivate a nurturing environment for peak learning and fun. And that takes an instructor who's really mindful, that's being very present within the
Yeah.
moment, or somebody who's running retreats being very present to take any potential load off the guests, as well as, the guests, unfortunately, like I know for me on that first retreat, I had never really used my monofin, and I didn't expect it to cut up my feet completely. I never forget that last day we were sitting at the springs and we were doing like the last set of tests, and like I had cuts on the top of my feet, on the back of my ankles. I was not a happy camper at that point, and I was just and I was getting in my own head going, what, I guess I'm not gonna get this done. Like, I can't believe I'm sitting here and this is so stupid that I've hurt my feet. And so, there's gonna be stress that happens for everyone, no matter what, and it's about how you mentally move past it, while recognizing, like, yes, like whatever the situation is, like it could be a shitty situation, but it's about being present, being mindful, not letting it go deep into your core, kind of allowing that stress, recognizing it and letting it go, and then like being as prepared as possible. And I think that it was so funny. So when we did the mermaiding in a med, we were not as prepared as possible. And we definitely had I had some marks all over my hands. We think it was a fungus infection. And like Ayla's eyes, I think, hurt afterward. And like all of us were having some like ear issues and whatnot. And we found out later there was runoff water, or let me phrase, runoff things going into the water. And so, I think having even as a mermaid just doing funsies, it's about being like fully prepared with all the things you need, whether as a participant, especially if it's your first time, having retreat and instructors provide you like, hey, here are all the things we'd recommend you bring. And some of it is more on just to be prepared and having that understanding, like with the packing list, because then
Exactly.
yeah, because then they feel like if something like that happens,
Right.
that they can kind of get it taken care of and still be a present in participation. And then they're open to that receiving of what the instructor or the retreat organizers are willing to pour in. And I think that, being mindful and learning these techniques is a really beautiful thing that can be taken to other parts of your life.
Right. No, definitely. And yeah, coming back to any suggestions and feedback I have for instructors, that's a great one is having I always send like a welcome packet of like, here's everything to expect, here's suggestions on what to pack. So then that way it also takes off the anxiety for the participants. Like, all right, I kind of know where I have to be or what I'm going to do each day. And then they can already have an idea for those that like to plan. And yeah, maybe I'm going to be in the water for 4 hours a day. Maybe I should wear some booties, or maybe, I should bring some band-aids or whatever. And also as an instructor, always plan that a lot of times nothing goes according to plan. So you just have to have your plan A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And then that way, if A doesn't work, then there's no stress. We just go to B or C.
Yeah.
And then that allows you to like, yeah, not panic and all the things. But that's why I love freediving as well. And it goes so hand in hand with mermaiding because you have to learn the breathing techniques and how to hold your breath longer. But freediving teaches you how to stay calm under pressure, literally and figuratively. So many times, like I don't know, just being an instructor, you just roll with the punches and like it just, I don't know. You just become really good at finding the backup plans and making the pieces work. And that's just what it's all about. Like you just make it work.
Yeah.
So A, B, and C.
I love that.
That's probably some good advice there.
Yeah. So if you were to look back on yourself at the beginning of, we'll say, your freediving journey, what if you could impart any wisdom on that version of you as you've gone through this process? Is there anything you would want to share with that version?
So version like freediving of just me in general or me starting a business or
Whatever is there any part of you feel like you would want to go back and talk to, or is it something where, you're just, you feel
yeah.
like it was perfect? would never want to offer that advice.
Yeah, no, I think for me, the biggest one is just continue to do things for yourself because I can't help myself. I'm such a people pleaser. I love to help people. But you have to be careful with that because I will give, 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 give. And last year I struggled really bad with bad burnout. I just worked way too much. And believe it or not, like I mean I'm diving all the time. I love it. I love my job. But anytime you have your passion with work, you got to have that balance. So I would tell myself, take some more time for you, go on some fun dives, um, go to a yoga class, go do something to fill your cup up. So then that way you can be the best version of yourself and share with others. So that's what I'm really working on this year. And so far, I feel so much better than I did last year. So, and also just be, take it, don't forget to take time and see how far you've come because I feel like we get, especially in American culture, it's so hustle, go, 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 go. We don't have time to sit and process and enjoy everything that we've done, like from right now for 3 years ago I've come so far, or like 10 years ago Kiki like wouldn't believe where she is right now. But it's funny that now in our heads we're always like the ego. You got to be careful with the ego's like you could be doing more, you could be doing this, you could be doing that. But I think it's important to sit back, relax, and just see how far you've come and enjoy that journey.
Love that. Well,
Yeah, so
thank you.
take some time for yourself, go on fun dives, fun mermaid dives, all the things.
Love that. So, where can people find you if they want to, follow your amazing journeys, your dives, your businesses, and support you?
Yeah,
Explain to us
thank
where people
you.
can support you.
So, Live Free Diving is our main one. That's our diving company. We do the mermaiding, free diving, scuba, all the things. Undersea Kiki is my personal one. I haven't been too active on there, but I will. And then also Mermaid Keke, but I haven't been too active on there. I'm trying to. That's part of my goal. But again, like last year, I struggled with some major burnout, so I had to take a step back from social media. But I have some amazing videos, so I'm hoping I'll get back on there again. But shout out to my amazing husband Farrell for running Live Free Diving and posting and holding one down for the team. But
Farrell's a
yes,
rock star in the
he
content creation.
is.
Like I love
He's the best mer wrangler, mer photographer,
it. Yes, he
mer
is.
security, all the things. And he takes great photos and videos. So if you guys want to come out and dive with us, Blue Heron, Peanut Island, we'll get some good shots.
Exactly. They have a beautiful boat to take people out, and they know all the spots.
Yes, we swim
That,
with the fish and the starfish. Make all your mermaid dreams come true.
oh yeah, that is outstanding. Well, Kiki, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. It's so fun talking to you.